Moving on, now British Chancellor Jeremy Hunt has expressed the importance of impartiality at the BBC a day after sports presenter Gary Lineker was taken off air for his tweet criticising UK's recent asylum policy. The BBC believes that Lineker's tweet breached its editorial guidelines. Hunt said that if the public believes in BBC's impartiality, then the public broadcaster needs to be able to resolve these issues themselves.
I profoundly disagree with the comments that he made, but I think what this shows, and indeed the related debate about the BBC chairman's appointment, and we should wait until the investigation is completely independent investigation before passing judgment on that, is that impartiality at the BBC is really important.
On Saturday, the former English football captain was suspended from BBC's popular football highlights show, Match of the Day. The move came after he criticised Sunak government's plan to detain and deport migrants arriving by boat in a Twitter post. Retweeting Home Secretary Suella Braverman's video message, Lineker called it, quote-unquote, beyond awful. BBC says that Lineker has breached its social media guidelines and that he will be off air till there is a clear position on the use of his social media account. On Saturday, the BBC was forced to scrap much of its weekend sports programming as the network scrambled to stem an escalating crisis over Lineker's suspension. There were no player interviews either, after a growing number of players and broadcasters rallied to his support. BBC Director General Tim Davie has meanwhile apologised for the interruption in Saturday's coverage.
Well, I'm very sorry for the disruption today. It's been a difficult day, and I am sorry that audiences have been affected and they haven't got the programming. As a keen sports fan, I know, like everyone, that to miss programming is a real blow, and I am sorry about that. We are working very hard to resolve the situation and make sure that we get output back on air.
The BBC maintains that it is committed to being politically impartial, but it is also facing criticism over the opposition Labour Party and media commentators who accuse it of silencing Lineker in response to pressure from the Conservative government. Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves accused the Tories of criticising free speech only when their interests were not involved.
And yet, when a football commentator dares to disagree with the government and express concerns over one of their policies, they all take to the airwaves to criticise. They say they believe in free speech when they agree with what someone says, but it's all about impartiality when they don't. So I think we do need a sense of proportionality here, and I don't think that Gary Lineker should have been taken off air.
On Saturday, Labour leader Keir Starmer also accused the BBC of acting impartially after, quote-unquote, caving into Tory pressure. Listen in.
The BBC is not acting impartially by caving in to Tory MPs who are complaining about Gary Lineker. They've got this one badly wrong, and now they're very, very exposed, as is the government, because at the heart of this is the government's failure on the asylum system. And rather than take responsibility for the mess they've made, the government is casting around to blame anybody else, Gary Lineker, the BBC, civil servants, the blob.
The BBC has meanwhile said that Match of the Day 2 between Chelsea and Manchester United, as well as the coverage of the Women's Super League, is expected to be much reduced. On the other front, the chairman of BBC is under growing pressure to resign. He is being slammed for failing to be open about his links to Boris Johnson, former Prime Minister, and staying silent on the Gary Lineker crisis. Sharp faced scrutiny after a report in the Sunday Times revealed that he helped facilitate a loan of up to £800,000 for former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. A committee of MPs found that Sharp had made significant errors of judgment by failing to disclose the potential conflict of interest.